to it. Like I did this vocal workshop with Jason Alon Butler, who's like the singer of Let Live at the time,
Okay.
Fever 333 now.
Oh, nice.
And he used to like throw up before every show that he played.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
Just like get it out. Like,
yeah,
kinda,
yeah.
yeah.
But I was talking to his coach, and he's like, it's like all the same feeling, like being nervous, being excited, anxious, like any of that, like you get like the butterflies in your gut and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Your body reacts the same way,
Yeah.
but like
It's
it's
your
your mental
mind.
perception.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your perception, the words that you use to describe it to yourself, all those things. And those things are actually like a lot more in our control than we think that they are.
yeah, they are.
And it's just all about that perception. Like, and everybody has a different relationship with themselves. So, like, one event can happen, and everybody in that room can interpret that event differently.
Yeah,
So it's really cool. But I'm here with Desmond, and I'm Indigo Forest. We're here chilling at Bitter Hearts,
what up,
and
baby?
both of us have talked about doing podcasts in the past. Both of us are people. We're artists,
Yeah,
and it's just nice to be able to expand and try new things. And this is really dedicated to just like hanging out with friends, chopping up.
yeah.
Um, but like as far as like the arts right now, like what would you say you think that like the art community or maybe even just like yourself or people like really need to hear right now, or like what do you think that we need the most as like art community in Youngstown, Ohio?
Well, I mean, like my number one answer, like off the top of my head, is like we always need more focus on community.
Hmm.
Like artists getting together and chopping it up.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially from different avenues.
yeah, switching ideas and stuff.
Hmm.
Like I feel like there's a lot of artists who don't think that there are other artists like them
Right,
out in the scene, but
right,
it's because they don't go to certain events or
right.
they won't step outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah, and a
You
lot of
know?
us have been bottled up and cooped up since COVID.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
people were starting to branch out like 2018, 19, 17. You know what I mean? I feel like people were starting to get out of their bubbles a little bit, but we went right back into those bubbles so quick.
yeah.
And I'm a bubble popper, man. Like I really
Yes.
don't like bubbles. I mean, like personal space and all that, but yeah, no. But like I'm talking about more about like I don't really fit into any kind of like one group, and I never really have.
Yeah, you've always that's always stood out about you,
Hmm.
like from meeting you and then like hearing like people that I know who knew you or like who know you better and then I meet them and shit. Like
Hmm.
it's always been good shit, you
I
know.
appreciate that.
And like I don't know, like when you have that ability to be like a social chameleon,
Yeah.
like some people might see it as like a disingenuous thing, but like because I've vibe on that same level too.
Hmm.
Like no, I just have like like this is Desmond 2.0. These people get Desmond 3.0.
Right.
Like some people get anime Desmond, some people get like football Desmond.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
football Desmond's a rare one, but the dude's a beast.
Beast mode.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of important because, like, like you're open to, experience new things and
Mhm.
experience people for who they are rather than like you going out to meet exactly like-minded people.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at like the like-mindedness of the next level. And
Hmm.
I think that, getting back to like that question before, I think that artists just got to open up a little bit more when it comes to that and like be a little bit more willing to let yourself be uncomfortable in certain situations so that you can grow.
Yeah. Like I know a ton of metal heads that love hip hop, and I love a ton of hip hop heads that love metal. But like very rarely do I see either of them at each other's shows. But I go to
Yeah.
both. Like I go to both all the time, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm the only white dude in the room, or I'm like the only um, like alternative dude in the metal room. You know what I mean? And like sometimes I feel like I stand out, but it's like that nervous thing we're talking about. Like that's the type of social pressure I can handle. Like to me, like I don't mind standing out. I'm here for the event just like you guys are. I don't really
Hmm.
think about it all that hard. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like I enjoy being in a room of diverse people in the sense of like I don't need it to be only people that look like me or talk like me or like anything like that. And
Yeah,
like we're here for hip hop, right? Like we're here for metal, like so it shouldn't really matter, you know?
yeah, you're here. You're there for the vibe and the experience and the
Right,
atmosphere and stuff. And like, you still have to be open to that. Even like some people go, and then they're just all closed off and like
right,
like the super hipstery vibe where like you kind of being elitist and stuff. But it's
right,
like like I think that people are just getting caught up in that image rather than actually enjoying the moment.
right.
Or like like I go to metal shows and stuff, and I stand out, especially when I was like bigger and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like huge black dude at like the metal concert, like gonna stand out. But like that's like I don't know, not a thing that like you were saying that's not like on your mind.
Right.
Like you're gonna stand out because like you might look a little bit different depending on how like the dress is at the day and like what the
Mm-hmm.
event is. But like you really stand out just because like you're doing you,
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
And like people do recognize that stuff regardless of how they react to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they see people doing what they fucking like doing and people
Yep.
like in their element, then they're gonna gravitate towards that shit.
Yep.
And
And I feel like if we all did that, we would all feel a lot more satisfied, like with ourselves. Like if we all
yeah,
really did the things we love and like pushed ourselves like out of those comfort zones, I feel a lot of this satisfaction from people comes from them not challenging themselves. Like you have to be like your own anchor, like your own guide. You know, like you can't always expect the outside to like influence you. You got to choose like what you want to do and
yeah. People don't think that they have that kind of power because like our world's pretty much pre-built for us to be influenced by the outside world, but
right.
you still got your perception and your own mind and the way that you feel. And if you're honest with how you feel
Mm-hmm.
and you're not like putting yourself on the back burner all the time
Right.
in those situations, or you're not putting yourself over people in certain situations when you really just need to vibe out or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like figure out like your flow and figure out how to move with the flow of
Mm-hmm.
things, and like you're going to be a lot better off rather than trying to fight that shit the whole time.
Yeah. Or
And
like it drives me a little bit like I get impatient, you know. I don't really get like angry, but when people are like, "Oh, like I don't have any friends," or like I don't have nothing to do, but it's like, what steps have you taken to get out there and meet new people and do new
yes.
things? Or like when people talk crap about Youngstown and they say, "Oh, there's nothing to do here. There's nothing to do in Cleveland. There's nothing to do in Ohio." Like, and it's just like there's so much to do if you just look. I was 18 years old. I had the same mentality, but I said one day I just was like, you know what? Let me like look some stuff up instead of sitting there complaining because my grandma raised me better. Like, and she was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, she never put tolerated complaining. So it was just like, all right, let me just try this, you know, like let me listen to Granny for a moment, and so I started looking stuff up. I was volunteering at community gardens. I was going to shows and stuff like that, meeting new people, and there's tons of people who I met back then that like I learned a lot of things not to do and things to do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating, scary. Like you got to be cautious, I guess, sometimes, you know, of who you surround yourself with, but at the same time, willing to experience new things. Like everything with life comes with a risk,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's like people who are too scared to go out and like assess the situation. It's like, well, what do how are you going to assess anything? How are you ever going to like move yourself forward whenever there's roadblockers or anything?
Mm-hmm.
And getting back to how you started that is like a lot of people do automatically hold themselves back. They're starting with the I can't and I like it won't blah blah blah, like the
Mm-hmm.
negative view of it. It's like you didn't even try it yet to
Right.
have that negative view. You didn't even fail yet, and you're taking the L. Like why
Right.
are you taking an L that you didn't earn?
Right.
And then on top of that, like there's nothing to do in Ohio and blah blah blah. Okay, there might not be like easily accessible like crazy things like there is in like a bigger city,
Right.
but there's absolutely stuff to do all the time. I don't believe in being bored If you're bored, you're boring. It was in
Yeah.
that Harvey Danger song, like
Yeah,
that
no,
shit's
for
real,
sure.
bro.
It's so real.
But like it's mostly just an action thing where like like if you are in motion, then you're gonna get going. Like you were saying with like getting the jitters, you gotta fucking wiggle it out.
Mm-hmm.
You got yourself going. So
Mm-hmm.
now you can start going, and you'll be less like likely to be impeded by yourself because you let yourself start going. And
100%.
it's the same fucking thing with like I'm not an avid reader, but I try to read a lot
Mm-hmm.
because I like that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, it's more comic books and magazines and shit,
Mm-hmm.
but hey, I'm still doing that bitch.
Right.
Um, Same thing with like people tell me they can't draw, but they're interested in art. Start drawing every day. I've
Yeah.
been drawing almost every day since I was 2, and I still kind of suck, but I'm also good. Like
We're
I
all
have
our
that.
own worst critic for sure.
Yeah, and I like to stay humble, but I also like to recognize my talents.
Right.
I didn't work on that shit for nothing.
Recognize your growth, but you also can see like where you could be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or you see like the areas where you wish to improve. So like
Hmm.
you shouldn't say, I wouldn't say like you suck, but like at the
Yeah,
same time
I
it's
gotta
like
find a better way to say that because I do
no,
be
for
making
sure.
people mad saying that shit.
No, it's okay. I feel like we all have different ways of motivating ourselves, and like that's so personal that like anybody to say like how you should say it, like I feel like is a little bit of encroaching like on some like personal territory. But you can make suggestions, you know what I mean, and be like, there
Yeah,
could be a better way you could say it, but like if that's what gets you going,
yeah,
man, like you don't
yeah.
know, like
That's like I hear you. I don't like agree with like the execution, but I hear you.
yeah, exactly. Because like we all be our own worst critic, but like sometimes that's like what drives like some of the most talented artists to be super talented. Is like whether it's criticism from the inside or from the outside. People get fueled off of that stuff. Like there's been so many haters in my life that have fueled me to be the best version of myself. And like I'm one of those dudes, like I just have a rebellious spirit like innately. So like if somebody starts saying something or somebody tells me to do something, like I have a spirit in me that's just like I want to automatically do the opposite of what they just told me
Yeah,
to do.
yeah, absolutely.
But like I've had to learn to like calm that down, or like you got to pick and choose your battles type stuff too, like where it's like it's not worth it all the time to
Yeah,
to do that.
like especially having like that kind of rebellious spirit, or like I don't know, like I also have that too, where like like I don't know if it's just like that, like childhood boy thing that's
Right,
instilled in you too.
right.
You're like, don't poke that. I gotta poke it now. Like it's,
Like, but what happens if I do poke it?
yeah, exactly. It's
It's
just
like the scientist too. Like it's like you gotta stay curious. Like why did
yeah,
they tell me not to do this? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
absolutely. If I get a good reasoning as to why not, then I might just have to listen.
Yeah, and that goes back to like me working with kids, being an educator and stuff like that. Like I see so many teachers just tell kids not to do things, but don't tell them, or they lack the explanation of what they should do instead,
Yeah,
or what they should be doing otherwise. Like if you just tell a kid not to do, and we all get frustrated, I get it, but at the same time, it's like you're there to teach them. Rather than say no, just show them what else they should be doing instead. You
yeah,
know, or here's what we could be doing. And some kids, they're just off in their own world, and they have that rebellious spirit too, or they're in their own imagination. But
hmm,
it's like a lot of people are just like big kids too. So it's like when people say that something's illegal or you're not supposed to do something, like people just be doing it anyways. And there's a lot that goes into that with like mental health and things like that. I feel like how we talk to ourselves at the end of the day becomes a reflection of how we interact with the outside world too, a little bit.
hmm,
So if people are straight up just mean people, I'm like, man, I can only imagine the stuff you say to yourself. Like, at the end of the day, it's like,
yeah, yeah. It's got to be some rough stuff because that projection shit does come into play a lot of times, and a
yeah,
lot of times you really just can't control it because it's a subconscious thing.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, I just imagine the turmoil that people are going through. I mean, that's kind of why I'm always trying to be nice.
yeah,
Like you can't please everybody, but like I can damn near try in my way, you
Hmm.
know, but like a lot of people just get caught up into that negative mindset where like they think that treating other people badly is going to put them where they need to be, and
Right.
then they feel bad for treating people badly, and then it perpetuates like the whole thing, and it all snowballs into all this bad feeling.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't even find square one to begin to clear that up.
Hmm.
And a lot of people end up in a really negative place because of that. Like maybe in like a more outward way, or more like inward way. Like like the emo shit. Like
Yeah.
we grew up with that,
Hmm.
and it's like a music style that became like a style of dress,
Hmm.
and so it's like became a style. But like kids think that it's like a livelihood. Like you're like the way that you get by is by being so depressed and so victimized. But it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, that's
It
it.
becomes infectious after a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it loops in on itself. It's like a manifest destiny thing. Like you forgot why you were even sad in the first place, but like you're just like repeating all this dialogue and living this lifestyle. That's one of the reasons
yeah,
why I don't really fit into some of those cultures and some of those groups. Even though like I like some of the music, I went through that time period in my life. It's like sometimes I feel like we went through this chapter of life, and I don't want to go back to those pages and reread that because I got the message I needed to out of
yeah,
that. Out
yeah,
of
absolutely. It's like I
it.
don't need to revisit that one. Like I
Yeah,
I got it, dude.
yeah.
Mm,
But
mm,
like, and then it's no disrespect to like that niche culture and stuff like that. I think there's some really cool aspects of it. There's some aspects of it that's like
yeah,
definitely questionable, but like we said earlier, it's like it's other people's lives. We can't really judge them for how they want to be. Or
yeah. Well, and it's really just well, my concern on it is like having people realize that that's like not something that completely defines them. It's just
right,
like a part of who you are, and like you gotta accept that, and accept that like you're more of a person than just like like looking like a rock star and having tattoos and being sad, or like
yeah,
like whatever other style you could, like anime shit's like super toxic, but it doesn't have to be.
right,
Especially if you like open your eyes and like view something from a different culture with like like kind of I say like rose tinted glasses, but like view it like somebody from that culture would view it.
right.
Get a little bit, delve a little bit deeper into what you're like enjoying, so that you don't take the wrong thing from it.
Right. And I think in order to do that, people need to do two things. They have to be willing to step out of their comfort zone, and they have to be willing to turn off their own mind.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really hard for a lot of people because, like, even like learning Spanish, I took a community college Spanish course, like Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. And a ton of the kids in there, even some of the people who like came from Hispanic families or like you know families that spoke Spanish, like Puerto Rican and all this different stuff, Latino families and stuff. They like had their own preconceived notions, and they were like unwilling to let those things go. Or they thought, oh, Spanish is easy when they came into the class. And then my teacher was very rigid and rigorous. He's from Honduras. Like he was like, I'm going to teach you guys like proper Spanish. Like, and he's
Mm-hmm.
just like, I'm going to stick to the curriculum. I'm going to do my best job. And like I day one just like tried to just empty my mind, of like all my preconceived notions about Spanish culture, Spanish language, and things like that. And it just came easier for me that way. It just was like, it, and yeah, making certain connections that like help you relate to language, or like some root words that are in Latin that are also in English. Like I could make those kinds of connections. But other than that, my mind was like empty, and I was like learning
Yes.
from day one. Like my mind is blank. I'm a baby right now.
Yeah, you just let yourself become a sponge, and
Yeah.
then like you don't have to go through the extra step of relating something else to something. You
Hmm.
just know it, and like you instill it in yourself at that one point. Like I took a bunch of Spanish classes from through like high school and
Yeah.
stuff, and I did really well, but like I didn't stick with it, so like I lost all that.
Right.
And So like if you're not letting yourself still absorb that shit, then you know like it's not definitely not going to end up the way that you want it to, which I think is like the case with those people who like already have a background in Hispanic language,
Hmm.
but like then like they think they know everything, so they they're too rigid to
Yeah.
even soak up something and incorrect like a mistake or something,
Right.
which I think is a big overlying fault for a lot of people when it comes to just moving forward. Is just like like you made a mistake, it's okay being
Right.
wrong.
Yeah, or just being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be like, maybe I don't know what's going on in this situation. Maybe I do need help, or maybe, whatever the situation is. Like,
Yeah,
and it's
that's hard.
a lot of people want
That's
to be like,
hard.
I don't know, or a lot of people want to be like, I know, even when they don't, and then that's, I think, like something that internally we need to work on, just like human beings in general, is being more vulnerable, being more willing to be like, you know what, I don't know this, I don't know that, and going from there is going to be up to practice, like whatever the thing is. Like if you want to go into a new community, or go into like, you want to go to more art shows, or you want to go do this more, and like maybe the first time you're nervous, but you have to be willing to be vulnerable. But then like it's about consistency after that. Like how willing are you gonna to keep doing that thing? Maybe you tried it and maybe you really didn't like it, but who's to say you didn't like it if you just tried it one time too? So like you
Mm-hmm.
gotta keep going out and like trying these different things. And there's so many cool things to do with like sipping paints and stuff like that. Even with like, I know arts are like terribly underfunded,
Mm-hmm.
but if you look, there's like Ohio Arts Council. They have like online grants that artists can apply for and stuff like that. And like a lot of that stuff is like kept like hush hush. I don't see why. I feel like every artist should know this kind of stuff, because it's like there are like rich people out there who are willing to like fund, or like they have ancestral or generational income that they are willing to like give grants to artists and stuff like
Yeah,
that, especially when
yeah,
universities are like kind of stripping that as part of the curriculum, or like they're not keeping it as a highlight.
yeah. It's a
So there
bummer.
are ways that like people can still get funding. It's just like you got to try and get out there and stuff like that. It's a lot.
Honestly, like it's really how it goes, because like the a tendency I think people have is like they let themselves get shut down too easily.
Yeah.
Um, like they won't even know about those things, but they won't even think to look up some things or like ask around.
Yeah.
Even
And like we
checking
live in,
forums and shit. Like
right.
like you can get a decent amount of information from that. But
Yeah. And we
there's
live in a culture that like prides individualism and independence to some degree, but also like punishes artists for being creative. So it's like it's a very contrasting, and it's rough. Like you have to
yeah,
have some grit to be an artist, and sometimes being an artist and being sensitive, like you think that like they wouldn't have grit, but like it's like you almost have to. Like it's like a survival thing. You need the
yes.
creativity and you need the grit at the same time. Like you need the perseverance and like
Yeah, absolutely. It's the struggling artist thing is definitely like it's part of the lifestyle, like by choice or not,
mm-hmm.
because like like a lot of people get fall in love with like the concept of a struggling artist, and then
Right,
they end up becoming a struggling artist because of that. And then
right,
some people just artists, and the way that society is with artists, you end up being a struggling artist unless you really hit that break, or you're really looking for these avenues and building all these like backup plans and fallbacks for yourself,
right.
which is gonna end you up struggling anyway, because you got to put in that work.
Yeah,
So
and just like putting in time for resources, like in money for resources. Like that's one of the main things. Like my sister's pretty blessed because she found a guy. His name's Septimus, which is like one of the coolest names I've
yeah,
ever heard. But he's like a guild artisan for like Northeast Ohio, like ceramics guild, and she went to school for art, but she's starting to drop out because like of all of the BS at YSU, and
yeah,
so she ended up falling in love with ceramics while she was at YSU. So she found like her calling there, which is one good thing she took out of it. But she dropped out. She joined this dude's artisan guild and like started apprenticing under him. and like she's just been loving it. She's been making good money off of it. Like she still works at Chipotle and like has like a day job, but like she's able to do what she really loves, like with her full intention. And she's such a hard worker and like
That's
such,
sick.
yeah, and that's just like so
That's
cool.
beautiful, dude.
Right. And like this, she said she learned more from this guy like the first day working with him that she did in like all of university.
I'm a YSU art school dropout as well,
Hmm.
and like part of it was because like I was in my early 20s at that point in time when I discovered drinking, you know.
Yeah.
So like I've missed class a bunch,
Yeah.
but the other half of it was like I totally felt like a lot of the staff and other artists there didn't respect me because I was a cartoonist. But like,
Hmm.
well, one of the situations, and I really just like, I just got caught up with the college trick of like, give us your money, we don't care about you.
Hmm.
But like, um, I just feel like one that's kind of been like the decline of that art school at that point in time is the people are a little bit too closed off
Hmm.
and they're a little bit too straightforward with things. Like some of the music folks I know take classes and they'd be like, "You're not playing it this way, or you're not playing these standards."
Hmm.
Well, not everything's got to be the same. You can practice those standards and everything else like that, and get like a good grounding. But like you have to let an artist be who they are,
Yeah.
and that's what art school's for. If the
Especially if you already
artist
come in knowing what you want to do, like
it,
that's a
exactly.
huge thing.
I
Yeah.
I joined wanting to do animation. By the time I got to YSU, the animation program was nixed. So like like it was one of them things where like I had to be in a different place to learn the way that I wanted to, and like your sister also did because having especially apprenticing under somebody,
Hmm.
like you get like the good like hands-on one-on-one shit.
And it's like practical. It's not a laboratory artificial experience. Like it's
Yes.
like we're here doing the thing right
Yeah.
now because we are the
Yes.
thing. Like
So
and that's a beautiful thing.
yeah,
Sure.
it really is. So like I think it's like people who have the wherewithal to set themselves up for situations like that. You see that opportunity,
Hmm.
take that.
Yeah.
Um, or else you just like you end up being a dropout with nothing to show for it, and that sucks more. Just because like somebody has wasted their time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And I
like
feel like it feels like a waste of time sometimes, but you could also, I'm sure, take a lot of experience from that of maybe what not to do. But you definitely, I'm sure, and other people have learned,
yeah,
from those experiences. And it could be a waste of time, it could be a waste of money, but like ultimately, you've learned a lot about just how the world works in a negative way. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. You
And
got
but
to
you can
take that
take
whatever
positive from
positives
it.
from your. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
exactly.
I mean, I've had buddies who I've actually had like a handful of people who have like gone to the AI schools, like the
Hmm.
art institutes,
Yeah.
and they're like, Matt, I did it. It was a scam. They just like like own all your art when you go to that school, and then like you like guarantee you jobs and shit. It never happens that way,
Yeah.
But like, and not to be shitting all over them, but like, don't be taking people's money like that, bitch.
Yeah, not for real.
But
Or like a lot of those institutions too, like they have people in like doctorate programs or master programs, and then like it's like this like funneling system, kind of like a pyramid scheme where it's like a lot of the creative ideas, you know what I mean? Like they're going to be taking from like the most ripest
yeah,
like people who are there with new ideas and creative ideas. And like the education department did similar things to me at YSU. Like I had so many suggestions while I was there, and they didn't instill them until after I left. But
yeah,
like I kind of knew that because I'm a very socially aware person. Like, and I know the ins and outs of like institutions, and I'm just like, I want this stuff to happen, even if it's not for me, for the
yeah,
next person and then next person. And like, I'm like,
yeah. Because
man,
sometimes it's not always about like getting your accolades and shit like that. It's kind of just about getting like to your goal,
yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you do got to pass the torch.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to be like, I don't need credit for this. Like I'm glad that it just happened.
Right. No,
Hmm.
for sure. And it's such a rigorous thing. Like uh, the institution of education is not for everyone, and we market it and brand it like it is, and
No, it's really not.
put people in jail because they don't go and stuff. Like it's really I think a corrupt way of living if you really look at it from like the school to prison pipeline situation. You know, like it's rough. You know, not everybody needs to just sit down and be quiet all day. Like we don't, human beings are not wired to be like that, you know. And
No, not at
it's
all.
even in art school, you know, even in you know, programs that are supposed to be more diverse, you know what I mean? And they just aren't. They're just saying they're more diverse, or they're preaching diversity without living the example, you know?
I think that's kind of a big issue, overlying like all of America too, because like there's certain groups of people out there who will like like they promote that wellness and that inclusivity and all that shit,
Mm-hmm.
and they really don't live it. They just like want that label, but
Mm-hmm.
like like we know that there's people out there who like actually feel that,
Yep.
and it's never those people who tend to be in the positions where they can do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a shitty thing, but like I mean, like you still got to go through your system and find your way
Right.
to be able to, come out on top and like, hopefully inspire people to do better and to handle the like, situations in life better, to where like, like they're taking care of others and themselves,
Mm-hmm.
rather than it having to be one or the other all the time,
Right.
or like, like just all this weird negativity that people put into things,
Yeah.
like we just gotta be honest and like
And it comes down to like a personal level of healing too, because like if you have a boss of a company or any kind of organization and they're going through it, like everybody feels it. Like it's like an echo chamber. Like, you know,
yeah,
everybody hears it, everybody experiences it in some level. And like I had worked for like Susie's for a while, and like why do like a lot of these managers and stuff like seem like shifty and shady? And I'm just like, oh, because the owner of like the organization was shifty and shady, and he wasn't paying people, and you know what I mean. And like,
yeah,
don't get me wrong, a lot of my coworkers were very genuine people. I learned so much from them because they were real people that came from many different walks of life, and
yeah.
like I learned so much just from regular everyday people. And don't get me wrong, there's a
There,
lot you
there was a
can,
great staff there for
yeah.
sure.
And just like they were going to nursing school and working there, and they were going to art school and working there, and there's a lot of people just like doing so many things. And I kind of looked at the world in like a one frame kind of way at that point in my life. I was still kind of like a little bit bitter, I think, about like my upbringing, and bitter about like society not being as good as it could be. You know, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I get impatient, like, and I just like I used to project that on my attitude, and I think on people before. And then I realized, you know, like, well, what can I do to make my life better? What can I do to make other people's lives better? And that's one of the reasons I started doing this podcast and recording my buddy's shows and stuff like that, because it's like I want to be like just an active member. Like I just want
Yeah.
to be active wherever I am. Like I interviewed this guy about his barbecue sauce, and like he was just such a cool, genuine dude. His life story is really cool. Like his family history is cool. Like, and his barbecue sauce is really good. So
Yeah.
it's just like we were just kicking it, talking about life, and you know, somebody might look at somebody like that, be like, oh, he's older, oh, like he was in the military, and just like put labels. People are so quick to like put labels and brands on people because it like in their mind it makes things make sense. But like I said, you need that ability to say, I don't know this person, or I don't know that person, like, and put
Yeah.
yourself in situations where you can meet new people, experience new things. And if my sister didn't do that, you know, she would have never been able to find that guy who was going to be willing to apprentice her.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm sure there's tons of people out there. Like, it may be, you know, it's an online platform, and you need to find a forum, or you need to comment on somebody's video, and they're like, oh my goodness, this famous person commented back. And then you chop it up, and then like, you know, you get, you know, a record deal, or you get you know something from any facet of life. But like the
Yeah.
thing is, you got to put that energy, that intention, the effort out there.
Absolutely. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like whenever I put my energy forward like that, and I have like good intention,
Hmm.
and I'm not just like, all like, overconfident and stuff. I just got myself in the right mindset. I'm
Hmm.
just like going,
Right.
flowing. Then like that's when I'm at my best. And
Same.
I've like, gone to shows and like seen a band and tweeted at them like, "Hey, I saw you guys last year, and I got up close and I didn't get a pick because you dropped them all."
Oh
And
yeah.
then I've gone to that show, and then dude seeing me in the crowd and like throwing picks at me,
Yeah.
And for me, it was just like, hey, I'll just send the tweet. If he
Yeah.
sees it, he sees it. But he
Yeah.
did. And then I ended up talking to half the band after the show, and they were all cool as fuck,
Right.
you know? And like, I didn't expect that, but it's just because I had that little bit of energy. I stand out in the crowd, and I came about it the right way. I wasn't all like, ah,
Oh
but
my gosh.
I
Like
was just
yeah.
like, holy shit, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the coolest things that I've had done for me from like a person that I look up to
Yeah.
randomly,
Right. And it's like real recognizes real sometimes in that sense where if you're
Yeah.
just being your authentic, genuine self and like, yeah, you might be a little bit nervous, but they're probably nervous too. They're just another person too. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Meeting a fan, it's like, oh my gosh, like how's this fan gonna be? Like I think they're cool, but like you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a
But
lot
this
of pressure
yeah,
for them to live up to your expectations as well.
right. Definitely. We have such a great music scene here, and one of the last times I think I seen you was at West Side Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
at a local friend's show, and I just love what the music scene has been doing out here because I feel like COVID bottled us all up, and now we're like ready to explode and just really get out there, and it's really
Yes,
cool.
absolutely. Well, like as far as that goes, like uh, especially with like the addition of West Side Bowl to the area,
Hmm.
like bringing in the bands that they do, and it being set up like it's such a hometown bar.
Yeah,
Like all the homies are there.
all the artwork on the side is local people or like talented people who
Yep.
support the arts. Like they have every band's T-shirt there that's ever like ever played there, and
Yeah, exactly. The promo from there is amazing, and like I played a couple shows there.
yeah,
Super accommodating. Like Nate's the dude. Like
yeah,
he's just such a good
literally,
dude. Like, and I mean, like you get fed and wind up and all that
hmm
whenever you play. They're always like taking care of you. I don't got nothing like bad to say about that place because I've had nothing but like great experiences there.
hmm
But like some other places, I feel like like they kind of get caught up in like dealing with like bad promoters or whatever else like that.
yeah.
You know?
And I feel like West Side Bowl is one of those things where it's like it was partially community funded and stuff at the beginning, so it became a community project. And like Nate is a very
Yeah.
socially intelligent dude. He went to school for political science. Like he knows what he's doing. He's creating jobs. He's creating, you know, a safe space for artists and stuff as
Yeah.
well, which is really nice. And it's really hard sometimes because like people either get competitive or they get gatekeepy. And he's very open to a lot of other people's ideas, but he's also like not going to be taken advantage of at the same time, which
Yeah,
is
I do like that, and
mhm,
that's why I think we end up having like a sick ass amount of diversity there. Which like, there's a lot of places in Youngstown where you can get that diversity, but it's not as accessible
right.
as the West Side Bowl. So like, that's really one of the biggest advantages that they have over other places too.
Hmm.
So like, hip hop shows will be doing like the hippie shows, they'll be doing punk days, metal fucking festivals,
Hmm.
like my one buddy has a local like metal record label, Life After Death.
Hmm.
And he did a few a couple festivals, and like he'll put on like these shows and bring in these bands, and they're sick as fuck, and it's sweet because it's like Ohio metal bands,
Yeah.
and they'll rip hard as fuck.
Hmm.
And like I love being able to say that it's like a double level for me because like like I get to go to my friend's event, and I get to go to like like the dope ass local bar, and be part of the community and shit.
Right.
Like I don't know, it's just It's just like one of them things that's always gonna stick with me. And like anytime that I do decide to step out and shit, like all right, cool, dude. I can pay $10 to go see a bunch of sweet local bands. I can
Right.
pay $20 to see the touring band or whatever.
Right.
I don't care. Like,
Right. It's amazing what they've done with the space, especially excuse me, going from venue to being like or bowling alley to venue. I'm sorry.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I get you.
But there's a lot of creative spaces around that are up and coming, and I think they're taking that model. Excuse me, and even models from like bigger cities as well,
Yeah,
where there's like Columbus, Cleveland. They have a lot of like warehouse districts that artists have taken over, and they'll have like mini studios where there'll be like a tattoo shop, or there'll be this, or there'll be that inside the area, inside the warehouse or whatever it is.
yeah.
And one of my buddies, Rocco, has got something set up on the east side. There's an art house on the north side that actually I'm trying to get an office space in,
Oh yeah,
and like we're trying to turn it into like a studio place where I can do my interviews and stuff like that, and
yeah.
just like have that office space. But bigger cities have been doing this stuff for a lot longer, and that's what's cool about traveling. And you don't have to travel far
No.
to get inspiration, to get a lot of cool ideas for a lot of this stuff too.
I used to have a like a shared art space with a couple buddies of mine back in the day,
Yeah,
and like we started off like it was like this little garage in Girard, and they all work on their cars and motorcycles and stuff,
yeah,
and like I just took the back room and put all my music and art back there. Then we ended up at like Kelly Pavlik's like old boxing gym back,
oh
over on the
yeah,
south side, and like at the point in time we were in there, we had the bottom floor, all the motorcycle dudes and shit, all the mechanics, and then the top floor was all my gear, whatever else. But we
yeah,
had a bunch of other spaces, and like that was kind of like our goal was to get a couple more people in there, start doing studio stuff, and like I was gonna record music and all that shit in
yeah.
there, and eventually I do want to get back to that, but
It's
it
important to
is
be
like
organized, like,
it really
and to
is.
have a team that like of people who you know are going to be willing to put in that work. And I think that's what helps makes like places like Bitter Hearts and stuff work so successfully too. Is just having that team
Yeah.
there.
Well, especially like now that I'm working at the tattoo shop here, Bitter Hearts, like our crew's awesome. I love everybody. Like, like small crew and everything else like that. But
Mm-hmm.
like, we all get along together so well.
Yeah,
And like, I don't know. At the end of the day, like, we're all like just trying to grow and have fun, make new experiences, get like become the best artists that we can be. Like,
yeah,
what you were saying, like like if your sister didn't go to school and drop out, then she may not have had that opportunity
yeah,
to get to the career that she's doing now, um, and with the ceramics and stuff. And like that's kind of how I feel with my YSU experience, because it wasn't all bad and stuff. Like the end result sucked for me,
yeah,
but it's just because I didn't have that piece of paper, you know.
yeah.
But like I'm not in debt or nothing,
Right.
and like I'm still an artist, and like because of that, like I mean I can't remember exactly when I met Ian,
Yeah.
but like we've been cool forever. We've always had like intersecting like friend groups and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and like the one day he just gave me the opportunity to start tattooing. And at
Mm-hmm.
that point in time I was kind of down on my art.
Yeah.
I was doing more, but like like I was just all over the place, and I really didn't have no discipline. And now I have a lot more discipline. My art's getting better, and
Yeah.
now I have the opportunity to like give somebody a piece of my art that like they wanted, and that
Right.
that makes them feel good and shit.
Right.
Like it's a crazy fucking experience. I never thought I'd be doing it, but like so
Literally.
happy to do that.
Yeah, man. And tattoos are such a cool thing. Like they have such a cool history as well. And I think
They do.
like you said, it's like you're putting like all those like years and tears and blood and like effort that you've accumulated all those years, and like you're literally like putting all that intention into somebody and into something symbolic that like they could take with them forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a beautiful thing for real. And Ian's always been a great dude. He's good buddies with my buddy Dave West. So I actually met Ian when I was like
Yes.
19 or 20 or 21 or something, like around those ages. And he was really nice. He was always fun dude to be around. And I love how like things have, you know, glowed up on the west side. Like the west side has definitely had a glow up. They're working on the road now. It's kind of rough, but
Yeah.
once the road is fixed, like same with downtown. Like once all those roads are fixed, like I feel like it's gonna be a glow up for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm always like, well, I'm not always, but like when I step out, I go down to Cedars West End, you know,
Oh, I love Cedars. Yeah.
I go up to West Side Bowl,
Yep.
I come back here if I want to, like
Yeah.
just chill at the end of the night, like.
Yeah, Cedars has another really eclectic crowd.
Oh yeah.
And my buddy's having a 420 show there tomorrow. I don't think this is going to be posted in time, but I might just not
Is
be.
that the Darling Decay show?
It's my buddy Larry. It's a lyrical lounge.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
yeah.
I saw that one. I think that Darling Decay show might be at the Bowl then.
Oh, maybe.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I'm not 100% sure either. But what our
We got
point
some
is,
good
there's a lot of
bands.
good stuff to do around here.
Yeah, exactly.
Penguin City has stuff going on.
Yeah.
Cedars West End has stuff going. West Side Bowl has
I
something going.
got a friend that's working at what's not the Bunker, but the Double Bogies and shit. I went out there. This place is sweet too.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, there's always fucking places to do.
Yeah, Youngstown Cityscape has a gardening thing on tomorrow morning too,
Oh,
and like you could go out and volunteer and stuff. They have it every year too.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like it's like the beautify the city project that they do every year.
Oh yeah.
And like they
I
just
love
plant
that
new
shit.
flowers and stuff during springtime. Then they give people like free food and stuff. It's like really cool.
That's dope as fuck.
Yeah,
People be acting like that shit don't happen around here. I mean, I didn't know about it, but like,
right.
I'm not surprised.
Right.
Like we got a fucking beautiful park right down the road too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
I would love to live in like a cabin in Mill Creek Park or something like that.
oh my god, yeah, I know, dude. I'd be like being naked in the woods, dude. It's just, like, what's better than that? It's just so free,
100%.
Like
100% with a guitar.
Yes.
And then
oh
just
my
like
goodness. Just strum a
That's all
nice
you
little
do.
chord.
And then see how the birds react.
Yes,
Just, like,
absolutely.
jamming
Hopefully
with
you
the
don't
birds.
shit on me. Oh my god.
Well, it was great chopping it up with you
Dude,
guys.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Definitely
thank
a
you for being
pleasure.
here. And where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Amikoart. That's IMIKOART. That's my artist tattoo page. If you guys want some ink, hit me up. I'm trying to do like all the cartoons and animes and band logos and all that type of shit, but I'll literally do anything that you want. If you like my art, come on down.
Yeah, I definitely got to get in here. I only have 2 tattoos right now, but I got to upgrade, man.
Yeah, dude,
So,
I'll hook you up for sure. We'll
for
have
sure.
some fun.
All right. Much love. Thank you for having me, dude.